I think there will be it will be wise to have a lot of time for discussion with them. But I'm of course honored that I'm able to give a short presentation on what this important new technology means for our region. Well, let's go to the first slide, because when you look at the numbers for our region, you can see that it already means a lot. I mean, it's artificial intelligence is the technology of the future, but it's a lot of companies working already with this issue. A lot of scientists at our universities in the Eastern Netherlands. A lot of students also committed to these topics. Students with interesting new ideas, delivering their knowledge and their capacities to the new companies of the future. This is the real innovation that is going on, the students entering the labor market. And also the projects that we work on in our region. It's really estimated already to a large amount of money. Now, our region, you can see in the next slide, is the eastern part of the Netherlands, consisting of 2 provinces and 7 regions, where we work with municipalities, entrepreneurs in the triple or quadruple helix cooperation. Some people say that we are located on the edge of the Netherlands. I see it differently. We have a region which is in the center of Europe, connected by the A1, which is the highway from the western part of our country, with the big cities like Amsterdam, Rotterdam in the south, The Hague. But on the other hand, Germany, connected with university like Münster, a strong cooperation between University of Twente and Münster as well as with North Rhine-Westphalen and Niedersachsen, 2 states of Germany, of the Bundesländer, that we work very closely with. So we are really a border region with a face towards Europe, with a face towards Germany as well. In the next slide, you can see what our goal and our main tasks are with artificial intelligence. Actually, this has already been pointed out by Ido in a perfect manner. We see an opportunity for our businesses, for our students. So we work on a lot of projects in a lot of domains which are important for our economy, to really use this new technology as a driver for economic growth and for our earning capacity in the future. This is in short what we want to achieve by embracing artificial intelligence as a technology of the future. On the next slide, what we want to achieve with it is, of course, impact. It's not just because we like artificial intelligence. We want to have impact on society. We want to help SMEs. We have a concrete, a really smart target. We want to reach 200 SMEs in the following years, connect them to the projects. We want to have economic impact, but most of all, we want to have impact on society. As I pointed out in my opening speech, it's also about sustainable future, about smart and efficient use of materials, of a lot of preventing waste, for instance. You see the Sustainable Development Goals, which we are committed to very strong. Now, there are applications in a lot of domains. And you can see them popping up right now in the next slides, because they are, it's about health, nutrition, industry, energy, and education. And the selection of these topics is not coincidental. These are the topics that really our universities and our universities of applied science have a strong specialization and a strong tradition already. For instance, the Center of Medical Technology on the University of Twente, the focus on sustainable nutrition in the University of Wageningen, they really provide a strong foundation for research, not only research, but also application of this research in these important domains. And these are really also the topics that I think, well, not just the Netherlands, not just Europe, but the world is facing. So we have the key for solutions for the future, so to say. Our stakeholders all over the regions are startups and scale-ups, of course, because there are a lot of new entrepreneurs with new ideas, new businesses. But let's not forget the SMEs, because there are a lot of existing SMEs. We need to help use the new technology and the new enabling technology for their production processes. This is a really important target group for our cooperation. And I also a strong believer that the way to help SMEs is really work together at a regional level. Europe has a strong ambition when it comes to digitalization, but this ambition can only be realized when there is a strong cooperation between Europe and the regions, because the regions are close to the SMEs. The regions can build bridges between SMEs and the other stakeholders in the regional ecosystem. So this place-based regional policies is a real key, in my belief, for the true digital transformation of the future. So that's an open invitation. Let's close with the open invitation again. Join us, entrepreneurs. We really want to help entrepreneurs, SMEs, startup scale-ups with their questions and with the opportunities they see. But also the knowledge institutions, the universities, the R&D centers, to work together on new concepts and also the new application of technology, and also governments who have to work together, because they are eventually the guard of society, looking for the problems of real people and real SMEs when it comes to food, health, and a lot of other important topics. Well, my two final slides are about the added value for entrepreneurs. I think I stated this already. For entrepreneurs, it's quite clear. The new technology offers the road for new production processes. So they have to be served and be helped to discover what the meaning of this technology can be, and also implement and sometimes be getting help with funding or with other issues to implement these technologies in their business models. And in the end, it will also have added value for the region, because the region will benefit if our startups and scale-ups grow, if our SMEs survive, and also are situated in our region for a longer period. So we have programs to help them digitalize as well, because we really believe that it has an added value for the region when family firms and SMEs, existing SMEs, are also reaping the benefits of this new technology. Well, finally, this is not my quote, but the quote of a very well-known and respected entrepreneur in our province, or actually it is the province of Gelderland, but from our region. You need 5 things for successful AI application: technical knowledge, domain knowledge, data, money, entrepreneurship. These are key to really implement this new technology. And I hope I have made clear that we will do everything to support SMEs in this movement, and together reap the benefits from artificial intelligence and what is needed for it. Well, this is in short what I would like to introduce about artificial intelligence, digital industries in Eastern Netherlands. I give the floor back to you, Stephen. I don't know if there is a room for any question right now, or if you want to do that later.
We still have 5 minutes or so left. So I'm not sure if in the chat I don't see any any questions. Is there somebody who wants to ask Eddy a question from the room? Maybe I have one. What would you identify as one of the key success projects or approaches that the eastern part of the Netherlands has done so far in working together with SMEs to apply new technologies that you would definitely recommend to other regions?
Well, I'll have to choose, I think, because there
maybe
are
two
many,
is also okay.
there are I think many examples, but I'm very enthusiastic about what is happening in my side of the Eastern Netherlands, which is Overijssel, Twente, in the field of medical technology, for instance. Because what you see is the investments that we have made in nanotechnology for a long period of time has brought us many startups and scale-ups in this field of medical technology. And the new key enabling technologies like artificial intelligence will help us taking the next step in this sector, improving the performance of these SMEs and building on what has been made already. So medical technology would be sure one of the key domains which I would think of as a good example. But there are many other examples as well. The smart industry, for instance, together, and I think Ian will talk about this later. The way Fraunhofer helps SMEs with rethinking their production processes, make it smart and using new technology, is also a very good example. I mean, we are very grateful for the perfect cooperation with the Fraunhofer Institute. I think this is one of the best decisions that we have made in the last couple of years to allow them to help our SMEs.
Okay, thank you very much, Eddy, for your contribution. And if there's no questions from the audience, then I would like to give the floor to Domenico.
Yes, thank you, Steven. Thank you, Eddy, for your intervention, for your opening session. It was really, really interesting and really in line with what we are going to talk about during my presentation. First of all, I think I prepared some slides. I don't know if Floris can just share them. Okay, perfect. Yes, I will use them just to steer my intervention, not really to go on through all the points that are highlighted on them. So let's start from the first one. I'm Domenico Guida from ARTER, which is the Emilia Romagna joint stock consortium that provides a lot of activities for the regional government in order to foster and drive regional innovation. And we have a strong focus on innovation for industries and in particular for SMEs. Three of the activities that are most linked with the support for industrial ecosystem are the support itself of definition of innovation policies and the continuous monitoring of the application of these innovation policies, the management and animation of the regional innovation ecosystem, then we will go through it in a while, and the internationalization of regional industrial ecosystems. So helping industries and SMEs to reach out to other regions and other nations. Next one, please. Let's go through the innovation ecosystem briefly. You can see we have several universities and research centers inside the Emilia Romagna region, and also we host the National Supercomputing Center Cineca, and recently we just opened the new ECMWF computing center here in Bologna. And we are so strongly linked with relevant stakeholders in terms of high-performance computing and AI applications. More, there is there are some examples of clusters and associations that are strongly linked with industrial ecosystem in Emilia Romagna region, and in particular, we can focus on the Associazione Big Data, which is an association made of relevant stakeholders inside the region in terms of research and innovation based on data, and the IFAB, which is the International Foundation for Big Data, Artificial Intelligence for Human Development. This is a relatively new foundation, and is strongly focusing on the application of artificial intelligence and big data for the innovation in several sectors with a strong cross-sectoral focus. Last but not least, there is the iTechnology network, which is a network of all existing facilities and laboratories operating in industrial innovation inside the region. And of course, there is a strong focus on digital innovation inside the network itself, just because it is drove by the needs from companies and from SMEs. This is just an overview of the ecosystem, but there is also a strong innovative approach to innovation and to policy definition. If we go to the next slide, you can see briefly that the new research and innovation smart specialization strategy, which has been presented just a few months ago, has been built on new pillars and has been developed according to a challenge-based approach, which is strongly linked and connected with the European Union innovation challenges. So green, smart, connected, inclusive, and strongly linked to the needs of citizens. Then, of course, there is a strong focus on social challenges and on competitiveness for companies and SMEs inside the region. And as I said, there is a strong cross-sectoral approach. Going to the next one, you can just see the 15 pillars, let's say, that are included inside the new strategy for the next 7 years. And as you can see, I just highlighted the two that are the main core of the whole strategy, which is digitalization, artificial intelligence, and big data, both for industry and public administration, because we have a strong focus also on application of these disruptive technologies for public administration, and on manufacturing 4.0. Manufacturing 4.0 is one of the most relevant pillars, just because we have, Emilia Romagna is a strongly industrialized region, and there is a number of SMEs working in the manufacturing sector. So this is one of the main focus of the strategy itself. But not just this one, and we have also some new use of AI technologies that we are just testing. If we go to the next slide, please. We are working thanks to a regional work group on AI, which is participated by the most specialized research groups in AI coming from universities and research centers based in Emilia Romagna, to develop the development of a tool to support policymakers in the definition of policies and operative programs to steer AI-based innovation. So working on data that is coming from the large amount of data that is coming both from academic sector and from industrial sector in the region, we are working to identify the relevant topics to be included inside the operative programs. This is just to be released, so it's just an announcement that I'm making, but it's not ready yet. We are strongly working on it. Going on, please, to the next slide. We can just go to the next point of the three that we highlighted before, which is linked to the internationalization of regional industries. Because we strongly believe that the cooperation of local enterprises, local SMEs and companies with other realities, other companies and SMEs from other regions is a really strong added value for their innovation process. That's why Arthur itself is strongly involved in the development of initiatives and pilots and activities inside a number of networks and initiatives itself. Some of them are in the first row, so the Vanguard Initiative we already introduced before, the Smart Specialization Platform, and the Enterprise Europe Network. Secondly, there is another way we believe is relevant to foster cross-regional and cross-sectoral cooperation for SMEs and local companies, which is allowing them to reach out physically to other SMEs and companies and innovation laboratories from other regions. And that's why we organize several matchmaking events. The most relevant one is the Research to Business, which is held every June of the year. And the second one, which is just a self-spot, sort of that. But I would like just to tell you that we are just working on this business forum on artificial intelligence, which is a joint business forum between Canada and Italy. It just started 3 years ago as a region-to-region business forum. So we were working as Emilia Romagna with the Quebec region, and now just extending its geographical coverage to both Canada and both Italy. So it's something that has worked well in the last years. We are just expanding right now. The forum will have a strong focus, and this is why I just mentioned it here, on connecting SMEs and companies from Canada and from Italy together to share needs and to start, hopefully, cooperation and open innovation cooperation. Going to the next one, we will go to the next point of the discussion, which is the pilot on artificial intelligence that has been started from Emilia Romagna region and Baden-Württemberg region as co-leads inside the Vanguard Initiative. It is something that started 3 years ago, more than 3 years ago in 2018, from the collection of needs from SMEs and companies on a regional base in Emilia Romagna region, while talking about new opportunities and new ways to develop innovation for manufacturing sector. There was a reduced work group, which was mainly made by SMEs and companies in the manufacturing or in the machine tool designing and production for inside the Emilia Romagna region, and the need to foster the application of new AI enhanced technologies inside these sectors was really clear. So the idea was to start a new pilot, a new partnership, interregional partnership, to foster interregional cooperation between several regions and create new opportunities to introduce AI in these sectors. Going to the next slide really quickly, not just standing a lot, there is just a list of regions participating in the pilot right now. And we already reached a good coverage, geographical coverage, but the most relevant one is in the next slide, which is just outlining the aims of the pilot itself, which is support and simulate the deployment of AI-related technologies inside the industrial value chains, which are relevant for the regions participating, support and accelerate the innovation process of European companies with a specific focus on SMEs, and this is strongly linked with the previous speech, and create cross-sectoral paths for application of AI technologies, not only in manufacturing, but also in other sectors, starting from solutions developed for manufacturing sector. And of course, the continuous alignment and cooperation with other relevant initiatives, because as we said before, we think it is relevant to be connected to all European ecosystem on AI. In the next slide, you can see the value chain. I will not go through the whole value chain, but I would just like to highlight that the value chain opens with a social impact definition and closes with a social impact assessment. This is something Yes, sorry, I think you can go on and the other blocks will appear. And it is something that we always highlight because in introducing disruptive technology like AI in production environment is of course a good thing for innovation, but also needs attention in terms of upskilling of the operator, making sure that operators just understand and fully accept the new technologies inside their production environment. Going to the next one. Yes, these were the blocks I was talking before. Just keep this one, please, so that we just collect some time. And yes, let's have a look at the best deployments that are being developed inside the pilot on artificial intelligence. The first one is an interregional grid that connects high-level laboratories that are already able to provide services to SMEs, and in order to complement their services into 5 relevant fields. If you click, please, just they will appear. I will not go through them again, but they are strongly linked to the value chain we saw before. And one thing that we would like to always highlight when talking about this grid is that it was ideated and designed completely through a bottom-up process, always asking to SMEs and companies for their needs and designing the distributed laboratories inside the grid according to their needs and according to the opportunities that are provided, could be provided by research institutions, research laboratories, innovation laboratories already operating in that sectors. These 5 relevant fields will be deploy in the form of shared and extended laboratories, demonstration laboratories that can provide services to SMEs on an interregional cooperation basis. Next slide. We already collected 28 expressions of interests, and going for next steps, we are going to identify cooperation patterns we are working to participate to specific funding programs for investments, because investments are also foreseen for laboratories that are joining, and also for SMEs and companies that are willing to work inside the pilot itself. Last but not least, the last slide, we can have a look at the brand new demo case that is being deployed inside the pilot. It just started a few months ago and is working for introducing AI for resource efficiency in the production environment. And this is also led by some companies, not in the Emilia Romagna region, but in the Baden-Württemberg region, which is also a co-lead region for the pilot itself, and is being right now is going for collection of expressions of interest from companies and SMEs which are interested in cooperating to introduce AI in their production environments. Sorry, I was just joking. This was not the last slide. There is the very last one, which is, can we go on, please? Yes, this is the call for new industry-driven demo cases inside the pilot. We are looking for SMEs and companies which are interested, as I said, in starting new deployments, new demo cases inside the pilot itself, and several sectors are already being identified as relevant, but we are open to new ideas in new relevant value chains and sectors. The only thing that we ask from companies and from SMEs is to be keen to cooperate on an interregional base with other SMEs, other companies, or with other innovation laboratories. And we will just foster the activities in terms of cooperation and in terms of coordination, sorry, and to develop new ideas inside the pilot itself. That was all from my side. I hope I was in the 15 minutes.
You were. Excellent. Eddy has sent a chat. Do you want to?
I can, of course, I can read the chat, but no, I really want to say that I'm on behalf of, I think, a lot of other Vanguard partners, but really enthusiastic about the way that we build this cooperation and really show that that cooperation means something in the European context. So it's really important to stress this, I think.
Yes.
Also to invite others to join this as well.
Yes, thank you, Ed. It's exactly the Vanguard aim to stress on the value, the added value brought by cooperation with other regions. And indeed, East Netherlands is one of the most active regions inside the pilot. It is, and we have already worked together in several demo case activities. So
that's nice to hear. Is there anyone from the audience with a question for Domenico? I don't see any. Sorry if you're interrupted by somebody speaking in my background. I have one for you. You mentioned that you get out of the SMEs the questions, you bottom-up approach basically on what to work on. How do you identify the needs that you would like to address? Because you cannot address everything, and I can imagine that SMEs have quite a diverse set of questions or challenges they face. How do you identify a more common set of needs that you would like to address in this cooperation?
Well, indeed, we just we work with SMEs, not in general, not as a single SME, but trying to clusterize them in terms of needs, in terms of sectors they are operating on, in terms of also the dimension of the SME or the kind of activities they are performing. This usually helps in identifying common needs and also in identifying new opportunities for cooperation for SMEs, which is often a good added value for the cooperation itself. Meaning, for example, just cooperation in developing new products or cooperation in expanding the service portfolio they're offering to their customers. So this is the point, the first thing that has helped us a lot in identifying needs from SMEs.
Okay, thank you very much. If there's no one from the audience with a question, then I would like to thank you for your contribution for now and give the floor to Ian.
Oh, thank you very much, Steven. Appreciate the opportunity to talk about all of our activities in the east of Netherlands. And I have a presentation. I will share my screen. Let me see how I do that.
At the bottom there should be a green button saying share screen.
Yes, I'm pressing that, and I think I'm pressing that.
Yes, it's working.
See, and then see if I can. Where is my presentation? Why is that not coming up? Ah, okay. So if I now move that out of the way so I can see. We're used to Teams in the UT, so Zoom is a different one. Okay, can you see my my presentation?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, once again, thank you very much for the invitation. And what I'd like to do is really talk first off about what is the Fraunhofer Project Center, because some of you might be wondering why or sort of what is essentially a German organization is in the Netherlands. Well, we are not the only non-German Fraunhofer. If you can see from this slide, there's an increasing number of Fraunhofer centers all around the world. We are the first one in the Netherlands. And as Eddy quite pointed out, we are on sort of the gateway, I guess, to Europe from the Netherlands, and it's makes perfect sense for us to be part of the Fraunhofer network. We work most particularly in the area of advanced manufacturing, and we essentially deal with problems which are located in the region of well, around Twente, Overijssel, Eastern Netherlands, and then further as well if it happens to be the case. We are also very closely related to the Institute for Production Technologies, which is based in Aachen. And actually, I'm presenting to you from Aachen at the moment because I'm in a meeting, or was in a meeting earlier with our colleagues at IPT. So we work very closely with IPT and then other aspects or other institutes connected to the Fraunhofer network. So it is very beneficial that that we are you know, part of this this network, and also every center that's in the Fraunhofer network is also located within a university, and we are at the University of Twente. And we are currently completing our first phase of the development of the Fraunhofer Project Center, which goes in 5-year cycles. And so the end of this year, we will be transitioning towards the new or revised framework for the Fraunhofer Project Center. One of those changes will include our new building, and there's a rendering in the image on the right-hand side of what will be the Fraunhofer Project Center and our Advanced Manufacturing Center, which will be the shop floor located within the Project Center. Our objective is to work with SMEs. I'm delighted to hear so many references to SMEs in the previous presentations. It's certainly a key component to our activities, and we have a number of programs which enable SMEs to, I guess, elevate their R&D capabilities and to explore larger problems than they are capable of dealing with on their own. The principal areas that we work in, because even advanced manufacturing is a very broad spectrum of different problems. And as you can see there at the bottom, we deal with the areas of digital twinning, model-based engineering and manufacturing, which is principally simulation, numerical modeling, additive manufacturing, system architectures, and AI in manufacturing. So going along with the theme of the presentations today. 2 programs which we are administering and enabling for industry to work with us currently under the Fraunhofer Project Center, our Advanced Manufacturing Program and our REACT program. And I'll explain about those 2 coming up. The Advanced Manufacturing Program has now been operating for about 1.5 years within the FPC. And the principal goals of this is to enable SMEs in the region to join together to look at common problems that they are facing. So we might see, for example, that we have companies which are in the design and product manufacturing sector joining together and looking at whether additive manufacturing is suitable for them. And if so, how might they implement it, and what sort of technologies would be appropriate for them? Similarly, we're also looking, for example, with say sheet metal manufacturing companies, which is a key industry in the area, and we have a project where a number of those companies have joined together. They all identify that they have problems in supply chain and looking at how they can effectively manage their supply chains. And we are applying AI methods to enable them to manage those. One of the interesting things about that particular project is that the 4 companies that are involved in that project are in fact competitors. But in this sense, they're working collaboratively with a problem that they all identify. And it's one of the beauties, I think, of working in the Netherlands, I think, that I noticed is just that there is a very strong collaborative feeling amongst industries to look at problems, even though they may be competitors. They recognize that by working together, it's more beneficial to solve those problems, and collectively they all benefit. So this is very interesting project. This is, as we can see, regional funding. A lot of our funding is related to the region. So a lot of our projects require companies, at least within the consortium, to be located in the region. But that doesn't mean that they cannot also include other companies from outside the region to work with them. Again, the issue is really about finding those common problems to solve. And what we do is we will then work on a series of demonstrators in order to demonstrate some of the potential use cases that might apply to their situations. And then they can also use that as a basis to train their own engineers and operators in relation to the new concepts and the new technologies that we will be introducing. I liked that slide at the end that Eddy showed, where the 5 elements towards AI. I think we provide 3 of those 5 within the FPC, which are the technology and the domain knowledges, and probably one of the most important factors is the data. So we are able to produce lots of data, and it's great to know that some people actually want to take advantage of that data. Then the obvious input to that is the funding, which is the money, and then obviously the entrepreneurs or the SMEs in our case, who are defining the problems. So it's an excellent combination of problems. Second approach, or the second platform that we have, was something that we just recently acquired earlier this year in July, which is the REACT EU funding, which is what was originally IFRO funding, which enables us to provide infrastructure support for the problems that we are looking at. Most of our projects up until now require us to work very directly with the company, and that is because we did not have until recently our own facilities to be able to produce demonstrators on our own site. We've now been able to obtain that, and as you saw earlier, so the next phase is obviously to equip that shop floor with appropriate technologies, and this is what the AMC ecosystem project under this REACT EU funding is providing us with. In this case, we are looking at 2 principal use cases. One is a flexible assembly cell, or what we might call matrix assembly. The idea of having the capability to assemble products and then quickly reassign components within that assembly cell in order to meet additional requirements, say, of a new product. So it's a very modular concept, and we are looking at how we can do this, particularly within the energy domain, because there is a lot of interest in energy in the region, and also close by in Germany, particularly in relation to battery technology. So this is what we are going to be focusing that assembly cell on. The second use case is this additive manufacturing chain. What we realize is that particularly in the Netherlands, there's been a slow uptake of additive manufacturing in industry. And this is potentially lagging other parts of Europe in particular. And so what we want to do is to be able to provide a use case where industry can look at how additive can be beneficial to their larger manufacturing capabilities. So this is what we are currently going to be setting up, because the issue is really not so much about the additive manufacturing itself, but all the hidden costs and how it interfaces with the current setups, because you want to be able to add value to your manufacturing capabilities. So in order to do this, this allows us therefore to engage at a knowledge level, educating engineers and technicians in that space, and then also to provide a basis for creating a digital framework around this as well, for monitoring the manufacturing capabilities, as well as the data models as well, which are appropriate to the AI community. And this is also part of a more widespread mission or vision of the Fraunhofer Project Center, to look at fundings which will then enable us to then extend this capability into other manufacturing domains, and also beyond the local region, and particularly to provide maybe a national center for advanced manufacturing in at the University of Twente. Just to mention about this Advanced Manufacturing Center, this is really, it gives us a real platform to experiment with all sorts of different related technologies, including IoT and 5G connectivity, as well as AI and digital twinning, and then also provide a hands-on capability as well for industry to experience the technologies, and then see how that applies to their particular situations, which hopefully then will generate further projects with us. And then just finally finishing off about the similar frameworks that are going on around us. The AI Hub East Netherlands has been mentioned a couple of times already, and we are also a participant in that hub, with the specific focus on advanced manufacturing and manufacturing technologies. So we realize or recognize that AI covers so many other areas, but when we do look at manufacturing, the requirements can be somewhat different to what you would see maybe in the more domestic application domains, and maybe things like security, etc. Because the manufacturing industry creates lots of data at very fast, high, transmission rates. So in our case, it's really about the upload speeds rather than the download speeds, which is what most people consider sort of with in 5G and AI issues. Further, another initiative which we're also strongly involved in and we're monitoring very carefully is the Next Gen High Tech initiative. Basically, our REACT funding has allowed us to create a framework which we can then expand, as I said, into all sorts of different potential use cases. And that's how we anticipate the Next Gen High Tech Factory 2030 project to be looking at. And that in particular, if we're talking about calls to action, the use cases there are what we are particularly looking for. So if anybody's got any interesting use cases that they think that they may be interesting from a Factory 2030 perspective, then please let me know. So I think, did I come to time, Stephen? Yeah, academics, they forget, you see.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a combination of this region where we also have the nice way of adding another 15 minutes to every meeting. So you have the academic quarter and now the regional as well. So, but still, you've only 5 minutes over time. So it's, we had the time. Otherwise, I would have interrupted you. Are there any questions from the audience so far? I haven't seen any in the chat, but might be popping up now. Could you stop? Yes, thank you.
Yes, there we go.
I have one for you. You've heard Eddy and Domenico as well. Is there something you've heard, especially from Domenico, maybe in his approach, that you found so inspiring that you would say, I will apply this tomorrow in Twente region or the East Netherlands or within Fraunhofer?
Yeah, I think that, well, what I did notice is a lot of similarities in what Domenico was talking about and what we are also looking at. So it's quite clear that we're all trying to sort of, I guess, from a regional perspective, look at the problems, but also that the problems themselves, at one level at least, are very similar. So I guess that the issue is, where are the similarities, and I suppose also where are the differences in terms of what we're facing and what, say, you know, Domenico is facing in his area.
Yes, I do agree, and yes, I think there is a lot of similarities in between the two regions. And the difference too, but as I said before, often differences provide the added value of agreeing on inter-regional cooperation. So differences often are more interesting than similarities, let me say, because they just link SMEs each other to complement their needs and the opportunities they can join.
Well, thank you. If you want to add something, Ian, or?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, it's something that I didn't, it was something that Eddy mentioned, and I think it's worth also mentioning, is the medical, particularly from our perspective, the medical device manufacturing sector. This is a very tough nut to crack in the region, I think. I mean, the Netherlands itself is very, very well positioned because it has got a extremely long history of medical products and device development and the like. But then one wonders about the manufacturing side of things, and particularly, you know, my area being additive manufacturing, looking at how additive manufacturing can be implemented in the region to enhance medical solutions, particularly in personalized orthopedics and the like.
Yes. Well, thank you. I will want to wrap up a bit. We have still 1 minute and 30 seconds till we're kicked out of this breakout room. So in order to not have too much of a cold turkey exit, thank you very much, Eddy, Domenico, and Ian, for your contributions to the European Week of Regions and Cities. And I think we've learned a lot about your approaches and your visions and successes as well already made. And I hope that everybody has a nice follow-up after this. In the plenary sessions, but also in the rest of the week, and that you learn and connect even more that we did so this afternoon. So I wish everyone a successful ending of the week. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen, for moderating.
Thank you.